All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for tuning on. My name is Sarah, and today I have Emily with me. I'm really excited to talk with her and let her share her story with you guys. She has overcome some pretty tremendous obstacles in her life and health concerns, scares, all of that by using the carnivore diet. So, thank you so much, Emily, for coming on.
Of course. Thank you for asking me.
Yeah, so I guess let's rewind and talk about before you started carnivore and what drew you to it, what was kind of like I think a lot of us kind of bottomed out at some point and we're like, okay, I'm desperate enough to do this crazy, insane, all meat diet. I'll do anything. So tell me how you got to where you are.
Absolutely. I've found that my pit of misery was actually the best gift because it put me in a position where I could do this. There was no option. There was no option. I was so miserable. I had severe mental illness to the point that I had to stop working. And that was terrifying. Here I am, 40 years old and living with my mom so she can help me get my son to school. And I couldn't do simple tasks. I couldn't follow through on anything. It was like my thought process was just not there. And it was very, very scary. And my depression, my doom was just ever present. It never gave me a break. And the anxiety and the irritability and everything else that came with that. So my brother reached out to me, and he had been researching Sean Baker and carnivore, and he stumbled on Amber O'Hearn and sent me her audiobook, the first chapter. And so I just laid there and listened to it, and it doesn't really make sense why, but for some reason it resonated with me, and I knew that was what I needed to try. I had some hope that this worked for this woman 10 years ago. Maybe it'll work for me with my bipolar disorder. And so I tried it overnight and stuck with it. And it actually revealed the underlying monster that was inside my body that I had no clue. I knew I was fighting mental illness. I had no clue that I was fighting also was multiple sclerosis.
Wow.
And that was terrifying because I gotten really good at fighting mental illness. I got really good at managing that and just wrapping my mind around the fact that was my lot in life. But when I couldn't walk and I couldn't talk,
wow,
and I really couldn't think even worse, I was just like, I give up. I quit. I give up. Forget life. I couldn't do it. But I kept eating meat, and I kept eating meat, and I kept eating meat, and I got better.
Wow.
And I haven't had a bipolar episode, like the manic episode or depressive episode, since April of this year. Of 2019. And I haven't had any MS symptoms since May of 2019.
Wow.
I just keep eating steak.
Wow. So you basically, it started off as like, okay, I'm severely depressed. I can't work. I'm living with my mother. I've got to do something about this depression. So you started carnivore then, but what you just said is it uncovered MS. So tell me about that journey, because I think a lot of people that, uncovered a MS would have said, this carnivore thing is poisoning me. It's killing me. I've got to stop. Tell me a little bit about how that worked.
Yeah, I can't really explain my logic because it's not really logical, my decision to keep eating meat. It was a knowing. There was something that whenever I ate meat, I felt it in my body just going, yes, this is what we need. This is it, Emily. And I don't know how to explain that.
Yeah.
But it was just this assurance that I had that I was doing one thing right. There was one thing that was right. As soon as I started putting meat and only meat in my mouth, that's whenever everything clicked. And there was this resolve in me that I knew that meat was going to, at least help. I didn't know it was going to do all this. I didn't know it was going to heal so many areas of my life. But
Right.
So I started February 24th of 2019, eating only meat. And then the acute dysphagia, which just means that I couldn't swallow. My throat just closed up. I couldn't even get water down.
Wow.
That started about March 5th or 6th. I was hospitalized March 12th of 2019. And they did an MRI, and they discovered that the dysphagia was not mechanical, it was neurological. And they found the lesion on my brain. And I was eventually diagnosed with MS after, I think after the second MRI, definitely after the third MRI, they diagnosed me, did all the blood tests, the lumbar puncture, and I just kept eating meat.
Wow. So you were hospitalized and you said, just bring me meat. Like, how did you work that out? Because I know some people have to be hospitalized at times. Like, how did you get them to, did they argue with you, or how did you work that out?
They didn't argue with me. They just, they acted like, it was like the elephant in the room. Like, they just didn't really talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
I would, like, especially the doctors, like, I would say something about it and they would just be like, okay, so your blood test came back, blah 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 blah. Like, they wouldn't really talk about it.
Yeah.
And then the cafeteria people would come by to get my order, and they were like, do you want chocolate pudding or applesauce? And I'm like, actually, I just want only meat. And they actually gave me extra meat.
Wow.
And it wasn't a great source of meat. Like, it was like the chicken patty, I mean, but it was at least meat.
Yeah.
And so I just ate meat. And my mom brought me some bone broth that I had already made at home.
Wow.
So I was able to drink that, and that was really healing for me.
Wow. Nice. So your family was supportive from the beginning, it sounds like.
Yes. And now, I mean, of course, my brother was already on it. I think he's been on it for about a year and a half. He resolved his IBS with that.
Wow.
And my father jumped on board. He's lost 70 pounds, and my mother jumped on board, and she's lost 40 pounds.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. So,
and I got my little boy started in June.
oh, wow. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. His emotionally, socially, and academically, this is the best school year that he has ever had.
Wow. And how old is he?
He's 11. He's in sixth grade.
Wow. Wow.
And ever since first grade, the teachers have been like, you got to get this kid on medication. He can't focus. He's smart, but he can't follow through on anything. And now he's knocking it out of the park. I'm so proud of him.
Wow, that's amazing. That's absolutely amazing. So tell me a little bit about, you finished, with the hospital, came home. What was that like, your journey to your healing journey, essentially? How did that all play out?
Well, I actually found out about the MS before the actual the typical symptoms happened. So I was diagnosed and everything in the hospital from March 12th to the 19th.
Okay.
The day after I was discharged, I came home and I got out of bed the next day, and I couldn't walk. Like, I could walk, but it was just like I had to really think about it. I didn't have any control over my legs.
Wow.
And my arms, I couldn't even pick things up. I had to use I couldn't hold a pen. I had to use a thing around it, like an attachment.
Yeah.
Just to write.
Wow.
I had delayed and slurred speech. It was terrifying. It was absolutely
imagine. Yeah.
And so and I had a neighbor saw me trying to walk one day to the mailbox, I think. And she was like, I have a walker that you can borrow. And so I used a walker and a cane from March to May 9th.
Wow. And so you were just this whole time, you just said, you know what, I'm just going to keep eating meat. I'm just going to, was it like special cuts of meat or grass-fed meat or any organ meats? It was just
No,
meat.
because I had come from such a place of mental illness, I knew with my track record with following through on anything that I needed to make it as simple as possible and have as few obstacles as possible. So I just made it any meat.
Yeah.
Any meat and any fat, and I just put it in my mouth. I didn't think about where it came from. Now I've gotten better, you know,
Yeah.
as I've learned more and as I've gotten healthier and stronger, made better decisions.
Yeah.
But it was really important for me just to get the meat in my mouth.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it worked.
Yeah, and I think that's just really what I want people to hear, because I think that we really just tend to overcomplicate things. And you experienced tremendous healing. You're able to stop using a walker and a cane and overcome, crippling, clinically diagnosed bipolar and mental illness from just meat. It didn't have to be anything fancy or sourced specifically. Maybe there are some people out there who aren't going to like that message, but I think it's important, and yeah, we know better, we do better. I'm the same way. I try to do grass-fed and, use from regenerative farms to help the environment, the carbon negative. But, for someone who's sick and in the hospital and doesn't have access to these things, I think that this message is important.
Well, I got to the point where I couldn't even go to the grocery store.
Right.
I would, pull up my car, and I could drive. I kept my vision, thankfully. And I had enough muscle control to put up the gas and the brake, but I would have to park right next to the cart return, and I would hold on from my car to the cart return, get the cart, and then I would use the cart to brace me, and I would walk to the meat department. I would be able to put like three items in my cart, and then like stumble to the checkout, go to the checkout, and then go sit in the cart. And I had to sit there and take a good 10-minute break before I even drove home. I was so exhausted, everything. So there's no way I could go to like, some specialty grocery store and go figure out, organic this or grass-fed this.
Right.
I just had to eat in my mouth, and that was it.
Right. Did you eat any eggs at all, or was it just meat?
I did not, because I had suspicions that because it's autoimmune disease.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know that at first. I don't know why. I don't know why I started out with just meat, but I think I just wanted to find out what it was that was causing me these reactions.
Yeah.
And so my thing was just like an elimination diet. Like I just want to do this for 30 days, and then I'll reintroduce one food a week.
Yeah.
And see what my reaction was.
Yeah.
So I did that. And then when I reintroduced eggs, I had a reaction.
What kind of reaction did you have with the eggs?
It was more of like an itchy kind of a reaction. And then also emotional. With eggs and with chicken, I get like really irritable and just moody.
Wow.
I don't understand it. I just kind of did my science experiment.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's all of us that are kind of in this carnivore community, that we've really just tried to do our own research and had to do our own research. And eggs can be very allergenic for some people. So that was good intuition there that you decided not to do it. And, I have the same reaction. I don't have the same kind of challenges that you've had diagnosed. I haven't had bipolar. I've had some severe depression, anxiety, and I've been medicated since the age of 14 for these, severe issues. And for me, when I stray from carnivore and try to add things back in, I get those symptoms, the depression, the anxiety. That's the first thing that comes back. Then the bloating and joint pain and all that will pop back in too, just to say what's up. But I feel like it's the mental thing that gets me before anything else does. That's the first sign of like, okay, I've just had something I shouldn't, that my body is not okay with that. So it's amazing. This is something that I think people put way too much importance on. And I even saw an Instagram post that you did where you're like, if you're a size 6 wanting to go to a size 4, don't contact me. And I was like, preach it, girl. Thank you. But you have lost some weight, correct?
I was at my highest I was at 240, but when I started carnivore I was at 230 and I'm at 135. I fluctuate a couple of pounds, but about 135 right now.
What? So you have lost 100 pounds essentially.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And since February 24th of 2019, and today's January, what, 7th, 8th?
Yeah, it's the 7th today. Yeah.
I mean, that's just stupid. That's stupid.
Wow.
And I was worried about my skin,
Yeah.
losing weight that fast, but I would show you my stomach right now, but that's kind of weird. Crazy how tight my skin is.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't make sense to me, except for the fact that I always had just as much animal fat as I did animal meat.
Wow.
And so I think that helped my skin kind of just like
Yeah.
suck itself.
That's amazing. Have you done a lot of fasting along with this way of eating? No.
No, not intentionally. I've done a lot of it just happened that I would fast.
Yeah.
I would eat just whenever my body would tell me to eat. Because once I got all the noise out of the way of the, sugar and carbs and stuff, then I could really hear my body. Like I said, that feeling that whenever I would eat meat, that was what my body needed and wanted. So once I was able to really tune into my body and hear my body, I even could tell when my body didn't want me to eat, just was like, hey, give us a break. Let us just digest this. And I would not eat for a day,
Yeah.
And I was fine. I was running my errands. I had no headaches or, nausea, or I wasn't hungry at all. And then I would feast the next day.
Yeah. Yeah.
But nothing intentionally.
Okay. That's good to know, because I think a lot of people do force the fasting a little too quickly, and it kind of can slow down their progress. And, with mental stuff too, for me, if I force fasting, it starts to get into that anxiety inducing type of thing. So that's good to know. You lost all that weight and you didn't do any forced fasting at all. No.
Or out. I didn't work out until last week. I started working out.
Wow. And so no exercising. Did you go on walks outside or anything like that?
Maybe 3 times. And that was weird for me because I was just like, you know what? I want to go on a walk today. Want to what? I believe that I wanted to go on a walk.
Wow.
And then also, I really gave myself a break because I realized how much I'm still healing.
Yeah.
Just the fact that I am out of bed all day long is a miracle.
Yeah.
I was used to taking 2, sometimes 3 naps a day. I couldn't function. And the fact that I wake up at 7 o'clock and I stay awake all day, it's a miracle.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And I love that, because I think, again, here's another thing where as society, we've been told to eat less and move more, and that's the key to weight loss. And you lost basically 100 pounds without exercising and eating until you were full, and, no forcing yourself. So that is just an amazing testimony right there. Absolutely.
Well, and just loving myself,
Yes.
And people have given me a hard time because I eat ribeyes now. And they're like, oh, well, that's just so expensive and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, well, if I'm going to spend my money on anything, it's not going to be shoes or my hair or anything. It's going to be my ribeyes.
Yes.
That's where I spoil myself.
Yes.
And I've actually caught food budget in half.
Yes. I think that's an important one for people to understand, because you actually do spend a lot less money because you're not buying all the other stuff that goes with it.
You're not stopping at the fast food places and, buying desserts and chips and
snacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I save so much money. And my.
Yeah. And that's amazing. And I think that I've gotten that too, of like, oh, that's the most expensive diet. You're buying ribeyes. That's the most expensive cut of meat. Well, if you look at what I used to spend and what I spend now, it's so much less, and it's less waste, and I should enjoy it. I think we should enjoy what we eat. If you like ribeyes, then by all means, eat ribeyes if they make you feel really good, Yeah. So what's a typical day of eating like for you?
Pretty much most of the time I'll wake up and I'm usually fine. I'm usually not that hungry. And I'll just go about my day. And then usually about 1 o'clock or so, I'll cook a ribeye. And I usually just cook it in a cast iron skillet in beef tallow with Himalayan salt. And that's usually how I eat it. And I actually cut my steak with kitchen shears. I don't use a knife, because when I first started, I didn't have the motor skills to cut.
Oh, wow.
And so I would use scissors. And now it's just the way I do it.
The habit.
And then I eat it with chopsticks, and I don't know why, but that's I always preferred eating things with chopsticks, and so I'm just weird.
You enjoy it, then why not?
It's my luxury. I love it.
Do you eat anything else besides that, or is it usually just one ribeye per day?
Yeah, I add animal fat or beef fat. I go to the meat department, local grocery store meat department, and I just say, give me all your fat trimmings. And so they give me that, and I cut that into little cubes, and I toss it in salt, and I freeze it. And so it's kind of like my side, I guess, with my ribeye, is just a handful or a bowl of fat, and I just eat it raw.
Okay.
It's so good. When you bite into it, it's like a creamy, fudge consistency.
Oh, wow. So it's just you thaw it out, though, I'm assuming, right? No?
Because of the consistency, when you bite into it, it's just really dense and really thick when it's frozen. Not hard.
Okay. So you just pull it right out of the freezer, put salt on it, and you might have a bowl of that in addition to the ribeye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I eat pretty much 50% meat and 50% fat.
Okay. So you're probably more in that, higher fat ratio. Gotcha. Awesome. And so you eat the ribeye, and then you might just snack on the fat later, or do you eat it all together?
Yeah. I mean, if I'm just going throughout the day, and I especially I noticed when I started working out this last week, I was like, oh, I'm hungrier than usual. Yes. And so I've been eating more, and I just keep it in the freezer, and so I just pop it, just throughout the day. Okay. I always have it with me.
Got it. So you're not doing any forced, I'm only going to have this certain amount of time to eating window type of deal. I mean, it sounds like it happens naturally, but I just want to verify you're not sitting there with a timer saying, I'm going to eat at this time and I'm going to wait, and if I'm hungry, I'm not going to do it then.
No, and I'm still mentally ill. I still struggle with, that thought process and organization. But it's manageable. Yeah. So I still make sure that I don't create obstacles. Still make sure that I make this as simple as possible. Yes. Yeah, I do better as I learn more, but it's still a process. I'm still healing.
Yeah. That's beautiful though, because that you're just keeping it simple, and making it doable, making it attainable, and not complicating the process, which is, and that you have the wherewithal to say, okay, this is an issue. Most people that have not been diagnosed with mental illness just overcomplicate, way too much, and it causes them a horrible amount of distress,
Yeah. And what was really funny, not funny, but ironic, was that I've been a child therapist for 5 years, and I have my master's in clinical counseling, and so I have all of these coping techniques, these coping skills. I have all the knowledge, but I couldn't implement it when I was so sick. I was so just paralyzed by the mental illness that it didn't matter what I knew, because I couldn't do it.
You can't apply it.
Yeah. And so now that I'm healing and that I'm in a better place, it's like, oh, I can see that pothole in the road. I'm going to make sure that I avoid that.
Right.
Instead of just like barreling right through it because I'm oblivious.
Right. Yeah.
So it's been really cool to be able to implement, some of those coping skills to manage my mental illness. Because I still have, mood changes, ups and downs, but they're not the extremes where it's like all here and all the way down here.
Right.
It's manageable, and that's the difference between night and day.
Yeah.
To have manageable bipolar disorder versus, debilitating.
And you're able to work and hold down a job, and yes.
I started working full-time June 17th.
Wow. Okay, so you've been back at work for a while now.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was amazing to come back, because it was just like, I'm gonna be okay. I'm gonna live.
Yeah.
And it's funny because when I was a child therapist before the end of 2018, and if you would have asked any of my clients or their parents, they would say, well, Emily was fine, but I was fine on the days that I could get out of bed. I was fine on the days, but then on the other days where I had to reschedule everything, those were the days that I was in bed all day.
Wow. Yeah.
So the one day a week that I did get to work in 2018, then I was Emily. I was fine. I was there. Right. But on the other day, you can't just function on one day a week.
Oh yeah, absolutely. No, you can't hold down a job that way or keep clients or any of that. Absolutely not.
Crazy, because I didn't have any expectations going into it.
Yeah.
And so every time something else would heal, I would be like, oh my goodness. Like it was just the funnest experience, And then when I started telling my story, I couldn't believe the people who are hurting out there. There's so many people hurting and feeling so miserable and so alone.
Yeah, that's why I really want to put you out there, on my channel, and why I put myself out there, because, the depression, anxiety, and mental illness is so crippling. And I think it is one of the biggest problems that people in our country and all over the world really experience. I think it's like the biggest health problem that people have, why they're unable to work, why they, can't be productive members of society, is this mental illness.
Well, and that becomes their identity.
Yes.
They identify as this broken person.
Yes.
And actually, it's amazing because there's so much inside of them that is just covered, that they're not being able to see their brilliance, their beauty. Because all they see is, I'm screwed up. I am screwed up. I am worthless. I'm not going to be able to do anything in the world. But once they get that healing, then they're like, oh, I'm pretty amazing. Like, I'm really good at this, or I'm really good at that. And it's beautiful to see people come back to life, just from healing.
Besides this amazing mental clarity and relief from bipolar and weight loss, what other benefits have you received from eating this way?
I think making it easier, because, yes, I'm grateful for the health and the healing and everything, but my life is so much simpler in that I don't have to spend time figuring out recipes or getting a meal plan. I don't have to spend a lot of time at the grocery store. I know what I'm going to get. I go and I get it. And as a mom, I mean, those little mundane things really add up.
Oh yeah.
And cleaning, a bunch of dishes every night and everything. Like, it's just really simple.
Yeah.
And so that's been really cool to just kind of have that be easier.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you add salt or electrolytes or anything like that in your daily routine?
I just have the Himalayan salt that I put on my steak and on my fat. And I use a lot.
Yeah.
But I don't add anything to my water. And right now I haven't tried electrolytes.
And are you on any supplements or anything like that at all?
Yeah, just some like vitamin C and there's a B complex. Just simple stuff, really.
Yeah.
Nothing too crazy.
Nothing complicated. Have you been able to come off of medications from eating this way?
Yeah. Oh my gosh, that was the crazy. And that wasn't really even me driving that. My psychiatrist has known that, everything from day one, my journey and everything. And he noticed this significant difference in me. He was just like, Emily, he was like, I see light in your eyes. He was like, it is crazy how much better you are getting. And he was the one who was like, I think we're ready to taper off of this, or I think we're ready to taper off of that. And I was like, no, like, blanket. I'm just happy to be functioning right now. Let's not screw with this.
Right.
And he was like, I don't think we're screwing with it. I think that, we'll take it really gradual and everything. And so we tapered off of all of my meds. My last my last dose of lithium was September 26th of 2019.
Wow.
And yeah, that was the craziest experience, because when you're bipolar, you just kind of know, I'm going to be on medication for the rest of my life, so that I stay out of the psych ward.
Right. Absolutely.
It's medication or psych ward, whenever you have severe bipolar disorder. And so it was an automatic for me that I'm going to be on bipolar disorder meds or mood stabilizers.
Wow.
And so when I transitioned off of that and everything else, I was stable. I didn't have any kind of transition period or anything, because my body was getting the nutrients and the vitamins, everything that it needed from the meat.
Wow.
And I was coasting. Like, I was just there. I was cool. And still, I mean, now I still haven't had any medication since September. I think there was one antidepressant that it was like 2 weeks later, that was my last dose of that. And I've been fine, like better than fine.
Wow. That's amazing. And you've been going, I'm sure, back to the doctor just to be checked. And
oh yeah, I told him he's never getting rid of me. If like I have to just pay for the visit just to talk, I'm not ever going to be out of it. And he was like, it's okay. And I was like, no, I'm at least give me 6 months, because I want to make sure that we're really solid.
Yeah. And I mean, what does he say about the diet? And I mean, it's got to be making him kind of like, say what's going on with that, and could this work for other patients? Has he changed, the way he approaches other people, or is he just kind of, maybe he doesn't tell you those things because of HIPAA and all that?
Yeah,
but
he hasn't really told me how he treats other clients, but he is huge on board. Like, he is just very supportive, and he's like, I can't deny this. I can't argue with these results, because he's seen me at my worst. He's seen me where the whole session, all I did was just sit there and just, just ugly cry with like snot running out of my nose, because I can't even like function in life.
Wow.
And he'd be like, okay, here you go. And now he sees me and he's like, you're still okay. Like, you're still good. You're doing great. And I'm like, I feel great. So I think it's really been awesome for him to see this and experience this with me, you know, because we've been through the trenches together.
Yeah, absolutely. And your son, I'm sure, really appreciates everything you've been through as well. I mean, he's seen you go through so much. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was really scary for him because I'm a single mom, and it was very, very scary when I couldn't talk.
Mm,
Because like I would, you know, tell him, go pick up your shoes. And I'd be like, pick up your shoes.
mm,
And for, you know, well, I think for an 11-year-old, he was just like, what's wrong with my mom?
yeah.
Like, how is this not okay? And then I couldn't like bend over to pick up his shoes, you know, because
Wow.
I riddled with inflammation.
Wow.
And my energy level was so bad, and I would just bite his head off. I mean, I was so irritable.
Oh,
His video games, the noises that would come out of his video games were like, I mean, I couldn't handle it. I was
yeah.
so irritable all the time. And so now that I'm just like normal, I guess you would say,
Yeah.
or that it's not bothering me. I'm just like, hey baby, I'm like, how's your day? Blah blah blah. And he's like, this is so nice.
Yeah.
You know, that you're not biting my head off, mom.
Oh, that's so wonderful. I'm so glad to hear that. Like just healing all around for the whole family.
Well, and that was really important for me because I felt like a bad mom. I
Yeah.
felt like I'm ruining my child
Yeah.
because I'm so angry all the time.
Yeah.
And so it's nice now to know, okay, that wasn't me. That was my mental illness. That was my, you know, even physical illness
Yeah.
that I'm struggling with. And this is the real me.
Right.
This is the uncovered, you know, core of who I actually am.
Yeah.
That identity is really cool to discover.
Yeah. And so you mentioned he's doing carnivore right now too. How is that transition for him? Because I know I have a 12-year-old daughter and she's not carnivore. We may eventually go that way. We'll see, but she still really likes all of her, little treats, and it's a battle with her for sure. So tell me a little bit about that process.
Well, the day that I removed everything from the house, I removed ramen noodles, corn dogs, pizza, candy, chocolate, ice cream, anything like sugar, anything like that. He asked for the phone number for Children's Division because he knew that he had a case, that this was child neglect.
What?
Yeah, he wanted to turn me in because I was depriving him of his, basic human needs,
Wow.
to not have ramen noodles and all that stuff. And it was really tough. It was very, very difficult. I attempted for him to be carnivore at first and to just eat meat. And he is stronger than I realized. And he resisted. He resisted, and he is still extremely defiant.
Yeah.
But our compromise is Greek yogurt, the full fat,
Yep.
and no sugar, just plain Greek yogurt with raw honey.
Okay.
That's his like dessert or whatever. Eggs, cheese, milk. There's a certain ham that he takes to school for lunches. It's got less nitrates. It's I think Hormel.
Okay.
So three slices of that. He wants the same thing every day for lunch. It cracks me up, but this is what he takes to lunch. 3 slices of that ham, and then one of those circle of the Baby Bell.
Okay. Cheese. Yeah.
And then the only thing that I don't like is these chicken nuggets.
Okay.
And so he has those, but he has to eat meat first.
Yes.
And then he'll have those chicken nuggets. So it's significantly better, and we've seen results just from that.
Oh, that's awesome.
Bacon and chicken wings. He loves chicken wings.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But he came home from school and he goes, Mom, do you even know how much these teachers pass out sugar all day long?
Oh, yeah.
Like, We get a question right, they give us candy. We have we win a goal, we get a pizza party, or we get an ice cream party. He was like, it's ridiculous.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
And he was like, my friends love me because when I get candy, I always just hand it over to them.
Oh, that's so awesome that he's able to do that. He's not like sneaking it. That's amazing.
No, I mean, I'm blessed. He's a good kid.
And he's probably seen what you've been through and the impact of you, not having sugar for all this time and what it's done for you. So that's a huge testimony for him right there. Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and also, he's just like, he's starting to say some of the things that I've said. He's like, it's poison. Why would I put that in my body?
Yes.
And I'm like sitting there in the corner like, yay!
That's so awesome. Yeah, and I think it's with our kids, I think we just have to talk to them and explain things to them, instead of just saying, no, this is how it is. It's got to be this way. Really explain to them and really explain how the food industry works, how, we're addicted to sugar from babies, on formula. And it just, once I think you understand those things, it doesn't necessarily make it easier to break the addiction, but in some ways it does. I think to have that knowledge and to be empowered with it, to actually get to make your own decisions. Because I think, the hard thing about being a kid is you somewhat feel a little bit powerless. You are powerless in a lot of regards. And so to give them that knowledge, and he's coming to you saying, oh, look at what they're doing. Look at this. So he's really taking all that in. So that's really, really amazing.
One thing that blew me away, this was a month ago or so, we were driving down past Pizza Hut, and he was like, oh, I used to go there when I was a little kid. Okay, you're 11, whatever. And he goes, you know what, Mom? He goes, I don't even think I would want to go there right now. I don't even crave pizza.
Oh, that's amazing. That's so amazing.
Buddy, I'm like, are you serious? And he was like, no, like, even if you put pizza in front of me right now, like, I don't even really want it.
That's so amazing. I love it. That's so awesome. Well, so if someone wanted to start this way of eating and they're kind of in a terrible spot, similar to where you were, what is the piece of advice that you would give them?
I would say you're sick. You're sick. Just like if you had the flu, just like if you did have something like MS hit you, you have to give yourself a break. Like, you have to realize that this is not you being a piece of crap person. This is not you being lazy. This is not you being horrible. This is just, you are sick. And so you have to put yourself first. You have to prioritize yourself and treat yourself. And to make it super, super simple, just put in your mouth. It doesn't matter what kind of meat. Just start with everything. All meats, all fats, put it in your mouth. And even if you still eat other things, even if you still have your bread or whatever, just eat your meat first until eventually you can transition out of and just eat meat.
Yes.
Just do it for 30 days. That's it. That's all you have to do. Do it for 30 days, then reevaluate where you're at and what you're feeling like.
Yeah. I love it. That's such simple and sage advice. I love it. And you're now, tell people where they can find you, and you're doing some coaching now, if I understand that correctly. Let's talk a little bit about if people want to find you after they watch this, and just tell us about that.
Yeah. MeatRx really, I wasn't expecting to be, a part of that, but it has blown me away. It's basically a platform that Shawn Baker has, provided. And it's a place where I thought, oh, well, this is just information and everything. And this is great, has some stories. But they have these online meetings, and they're called social online meetings. And I started out just moderating some of those meetings, thinking nothing really of it. And then whenever we really started having more people come in, I realized that there were so many carnivores out there that don't have any kind of support.
Yes.
So they feel so alone. They feel like I'm the only person at, the staff meeting sitting here eating my steak.
Yeah.
Or I'm the only person at the Christmas party not eating,
cake.
cotton pie. And so just being able to talk through that, and it kind of helped because I had that background of, being a counselor.
Yeah.
And so I was able to, just really talk through some of these just daily situations with people. But I got so much out of it. It fueled me. And now it is my favorite part of the day. Every night at 6:30 p.m. Central Standard Time, I'm on these online meetings with MeatRx. And it's magical just to talk to other carnivores. And it's some carnivores that have been there that they've been carnivore for 3 years, and some people who just started carnivore today.
Awesome.
It's just the whole scope. And yes, I'm a coach on there. So you can just go under the coaches and then look for Emily M. And then I'm also on Instagram at Carnivore Mind. And I just started a YouTube channel, which I thought was hilarious. Like, I thought that was the funniest thing ever. I did, because people were like, you need to start videos. You need to start videos. And I'm like,
yeah.
Such.
Yeah. It's a little bit terrifying, but I think people definitely need to hear from you. And I'll link all of that stuff below this video so people can find you. They can find your YouTube channel, your Instagram. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I want to hear more from you. I think you need to put videos out there because there are so many people in pain that could hear your story and just get a little bit of hope. When you see somebody else that is just downtrodden and so beaten up by mental illness, by sickness, by disease, and you can get that little glimmer of hope in their eyes, that's what keeps me going. Yeah, because there's a lot of people out there on Instagram, and now that I'm on YouTube, that have a lot of negative things to say, that are very mean and hateful. There are a lot of trolls out there, but I think that's the other cool thing about MeatRx and like having a community, is that we have to continue to support and encourage each other, because there's so many people out there that I think that could be helped by your story.
Yeah, and I think that's what one of the things with MeatRx is. I could have never made a platform like that.
Yeah,
I never could have even organized online meetings like that.
Yeah.
I didn't understand how to do any of that. But because Sean Baker has gone ahead and done that for me, I can just plug in. I can just be a part of that. And other people, like carnivores, can just plug in and be a part of that, and it makes it so much more simple.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Awesome. Well, any closing thoughts, anything else that you want to give people to take home with them, or words of wisdom?
I would just say that it's really important to know that what you're experiencing in that misery it's an illusion. It's not who you are. It's not who you are at all. That there is hope, and that there is so much inside of you that is just bursting to get out and create and give and be, and just keep it simple, because that's the way I could have done it. I couldn't have done this if it was complicated.
Wow. I love it. I love it. That is amazing, amazing advice. And thank you so much for being so honest and open and putting your story out there. I know it's going to help a lot of people.
Thank you. Thanks for being interested in caring.
Yes, absolutely.